Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, let's start. Is it
Who are you
5:30?
waiting for?
Allison. It's 5:29. One more minute.
Yes, please do. Bob, it's on YouTube.
It is streaming. Good. Okay, we are going to start the meeting. Start with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
I'm going to go through these next sections. First, we're going to take a moment of silence to remember the service and sacrifice of the armed service members who protect our nation and the first responders who protect our neighborhoods. Clerk, take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly?
Here.
Councilmember Quinn?
Here.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Here.
Councilmember Kritz?
Here.
Councilmember Salberg?
Here.
Councilmember Brooks?
Here.
Councilmember Noon? Councilmember Noon?
She is there.
Mary, if your phone's muted, you need to unmute. We can't hear you. Okay, skip over her for now.
Vice President Sackett?
Here.
President Jackson?
Here. Can you mute, Pat, do you have the ability to mute everybody? Because somebody's got too much background noise going in. This meeting was advertised in the Daily Record and Star Ledger, the official newspapers for the Township of Rockaway on January 11th, 2020. Notice was posted on the official bulletin boards of Rockaway Township. Before we get into the meeting, I just want to read a statement and go through something. Welcome to the meeting. We realize that we're in unprecedented times right now, and it's difficult for many of our residents. But the township is essential, and we must keep working, and we must have this meeting, and that's why we didn't cancel it. This is a first for all of us. I don't think we've ever conducted a meeting like this in the township, so just a few housekeeping items. Number one, you can email comments and questions. Some people have already to questions@rockawaytownship.org. If we can't address them tonight or answer them tonight, they'll be answered in the next day. Please include your name and street address, just like we do in person. Just for anybody who's online and doesn't see, we are keeping safe social distancing in the meeting. If you want to dial in and ask a question, the meeting phone number is 646-992-2010 and use the meeting number 797-252-819. You'll be able to hear the meeting, and you can speak when the moderator lets you speak. If you're dialing in and you're watching on YouTube, please mute your computer because we will get feedback if you don't. So that's the best way to do it. We have our business administrator, our engineer, and our CFO here in person. We have other members of the administration and mayor's office dialing in. We have some members of the council here in person, and we have some that are dialed in. Again, this is a first for all of us and how we're doing this, so I would ask that if you please don't speak until I recognize you, including my fellow council members, because it's going to be hard to manage if 5 people are speaking at once and some are on the phone. Remember, open to the public, please direct the questions to me, and I will determine how they're going to be answered, if I'll answer them at the end or we'll have the administration answer them at the end. But if we can just keep those things in mind and we'll get through this meeting together. We did move the meeting up, due to some of the curfew type concerns, but I think, there's important business that needs to be addressed on this agenda, so we're going to move forward. So with that said, We're gonna go into number 6, the introduction of the municipal budget. Letter A, ordinance introduce, O-20-10, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limit and to establish a cap bank by NJSA 40A 4-45.14. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Jack and Jonathan.
Before we take the roll call, Joe, do we have anything figured out with Mary? Is she on now, or is she still?
Just say her name again.
Okay.
If she doesn't answer, then she's not on.
Wait a minute, I gotta undo it. If she called in, hang on. Okay, go ahead.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Oh, I didn't.
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Fritz?
I think,
I'm gonna get it, I got it.
okay. Howard, you're up. Is Howard muted?
Yeah, go ahead.
Councilmember Fritz?
Pat, it looks like I'm muted now.
You're muted, hang on.
I'll unmute myself, that's fine.
Go ahead.
Can't hear Howard now.
Just call him again.
Howard? Did you vote? Yes? Okay.
Councilmember Salberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
He must be muted.
Wait, let me see where he is. Oh, he's right here. Okay, go ahead.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Say it again.
Councilmember Noon?
Okay, skip over her.
Vice President Sackett?
Yes.
President Jackson?
Yes, that's 8 yeses, motion carries. Before we introduce the budget, I just wanted to read through something. Somebody's got back.
I think it's from your microphone and stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Before we get into, I just wanted to read something before we present the initial budget up to the council to review. I want to make sure everybody knew the process that we went through. I think I'm muted again, Pat.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Mike Puzio, give me a thumbs up if you could hear me. Okay. All right. So I wanted to really make sure everybody understood the process that we went through, that to develop the budget and all that. So there were 2 open to the public meetings held in November, and during those meetings, the department heads presented their budgets to the administration, the mayor's office, for review and approval. And again, members of the public were invited to those meetings. The council were given their budget books around the week of February 11th. And kind of, we all kind of, most of us reached out to the administration and finance and asked some questions that we had prior to our actual budget meetings, to try and make the process more efficient and give the administration time to get their answers. Shortly after that, the budget was posted on the website so citizens could download the budget and view it and again, ask questions. We had the open to the public budget meetings on the February 25th and February 27th. During those meetings, the council went through every section of the budget. We reviewed line items, made recommendations. After every section, we voted to approve that section of the budget. And I will tell you that every section of the budget that was voted on, except for 2, were unanimously approved. I think for the most part, we worked together as a team with the administration, and I think it's a testament to the work that the administration and the finance department and the mayor put into this budget. So I just wanted to put that out there. With that said, I'm going to read Resolution R-20-68, a resolution to introduce the 2020 municipal budget of the Township of Rockaway and the County of Morris. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Jack and Jonathan.
You can try and call Mary Noon, she's on it.
Well, we're not ready to vote yet. Is there any discussion?
We're in the middle of a motion. I have a small discussion on it.
Yep.
Mr. Jackson, in regards to the efforts that were in
Can
there,
anyone hear me?
we
Yes.
roughly put together.
Wait, hold on. Yes, Mary, stop. Does his microphone need to be on for him to hear him?
I turned off it.
No, but it's his microphone, Tucker's.
In order for the audio to pick it up,
Yeah,
yes.
put your microphone on. Oh.
No, your red light's
No,
not
it's
on.
not on. The red light's not on. There you go. Go ahead.
With regards to your comments on there, I mean, roughly, we're dealing with a $40 million budget. We had a lot of things that were a surprise increase on the 27th of February, one of them being a $500,000 increase to a rec center that nobody knew anything about, nobody would actually give any information about, and there was no plans or any prior conversations that a lot of us were unaware of. In addition to that, with those two dates that were there collectively, maybe we had 5 or 6 hours, if that, to go over a $40 million budget. We didn't do things line by line like we have in the past. I thought our goal was try to meet what the increases were to see if we can cut. There was some other areas in there that the council wouldn't even second a motion on. And I just think that we could have done a little bit better than what we had here, especially to compensate for the loss of the mall contract, only receive half of that amount now from what we originally were getting. So to say that we did a large amount that was on here, and I do go through line by line every single time I've done the budget, and that would be my third time going through it. This is probably the most laxed out of the 3 times that I've done it with the council and the way that it was handled. So I hope next year we can do a little bit better and move forward. With this introduction, Mrs. Palmieri, there can't be any changes after the introduction?
There can be changes.
Okay.
There can be
Is
changes.
your microphone on?
Are they on? Yeah.
So,
There can be changes.
there are some other things that are here. I mean, we got a situation going on right now with this pandemic that's there, but I still think it needs a little bit to look into to potentially maybe even reduce some amounts. I mean, even our own raises of $1,300, we weren't even willing to cut, $125 a piece. And the council wouldn't even do that, where we were cutting other areas and other portions of departments and staff. So we're supposed to lead by example when it comes to certain things that we give up, that we take from other departments, which is not to reduce any services, but to recover some of those increases that we could have. And I don't think that we've, I know that I did. I don't think that majority of them did do that. So that's what I wanted to say to your original introduction comment.
Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Any other discussion? Okay, clerk, take the call. Roll call.
Councilmember Kelly?
Abstain.
Councilmember Quinn?
I probably have to unmute him.
Yeah, go ahead.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Let me find him.
Did we do a dry run of this by chance?
Yeah. It's just now
Shows.
there's 50 people on the line, so it's not as easy. It's first time for this. We're trying.
Okay, go ahead.
Manny, are you on?
Yeah.
Nope. Say it again.
Yes.
There you go.
Councilmember Kritz?
Yes, yes.
Councilmember Salberg? Councilmember Salberg?
Yes. Yeah.
Councilmember Brooks?
Doug's unmuted, or?
Yes.
Yes, he said yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Thank you.
She said yes.
Vice President Sackett?
Yes.
President Jackson?
Yes. That's 8 yeses, 1 abstention, motion carries. Next, R 20-69, Rockaway Township self-examination of the budget resolution. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Yeah, Manny made the motion, Jonathan second.
Chrissy, why don't you turn yours?
So,
Turn it off.
yeah, we hear that. We're trying.
It might be them at home.
No,
Okay.
I think it's me.
Now Chrissy's got to turn it off. She's too close.
Did you mute yours?
Yeah, I did mute her. Chrissy, just shut your computer now.
I'm trying to.
Here, let me see.
It was just frozen for a second there. I'm
You're
off.
off.
Yeah.
Speaking, put your, meeting on mute.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Clerk, take the call. The roll call.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Jack, unmute yourself, you're muted.
Okay?
Councilmember Quinn?
I can't hear any roll call.
Yeah, can you hear her, Jack?
No, I don't hear her at all.
Yeah, because she's off the laptop now. She's calling your name. Are you voting, Jack? What's your vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz?
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yeah.
Vice President Sackett?
Yes.
President Jackson?
Yes. It's 9 yeses, motion carries. Next,
To yell because they can't hear me.
I'm sorry? Okay. Your voice is carrying, so I think we'll be fine now. No. Next is C, ordinances to introduce. This is O-20-11, the bond ordinance appropriating $3,052,926 and authorizing the issuance of $2,534,500 in bonds or notes of the township for various improvements or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Township of Rockaway in the County of Morris, New Jersey. Can I have a motion?
I got a quick,
So moved.
you recognize it, Mr. Jackson?
Can we get through the motion in
Yeah.
a second first, please?
Jack and Manny. Go ahead, Mr. Kelly.
I just have, a couple
Your mic.
A couple of questions on this. Mrs. Fronte? We've had some discussions at the 27th of February's budget meeting regarding the plans from the rec center. And there is no plans for the rec center. There was a conceptual plan that Mr. Brooks had submitted back in October 2nd, I think, of 19. Do we have any plans for the rec center on, Mrs. Seeger?
I thought you were asking her.
I am. I'm just trying to get your
Oh, I'm
attention too. Do we have any plans for this rec center?
We are going and getting quotes for a bunch of options at Peterson.
I'm just asking if we have any plans for the rec center though.
Right, they are
I
being
can't hear
developed.
anybody.
I'm sorry?
They are being developed.
But we don't have any though. So it's
Oh,
yes.
I'm sorry. They are being developed.
Do we have any plans now though? It's a yes or a no question.
I-
You want to tell her the
I
answer,
don't have any
Mrs. Seeger?
plans. I don't have any plans.
We don't have any plans. Then my next question is, under this ordinance that we have,
So if you want to make a motion after the discussion, you can make.
well, I have to because it's part of the discussion. There's another question that follows it.
Oh, no. There's
On
no
this-
discussion required.
On,
If
well,
wanna
you
make-
gave me
wanna
the
have
floor. If
discussion,
you would give me the time, I'll make it very quickly.
Very quickly.
On page 4 of this ordinance, Mrs. Fronte and Mrs. Palmieri, under J, construction of the rec center. Because we're voting on this amount of money here. Do you have it? You both have it? And it reads, "The construction of a rec center in Peterson Field Park in and by the township, said building being no less than Class B under 482-22, said local bond law together with all equipment, structure, site work, and materials necessary thereof incident to, as shown on and in accordance with the plans and specifications that are on file. We don't have anything. So how are we doing this? Maybe there's an easy answer to this. We're putting away $500,000 under 48-222, the classifications of Class A, Class B of these buildings, and even in its own verbiage of that statute under 48-2-22 about these plans, but we don't have any plans. I mean, are we being straightforward on this, in this ordinance, when it comes to that description under J?
I think we are, because how would you define plans? Conceptual plans or actual architect plans? No, but we do have conceptual plans that we are getting pricing on, as Allison explained.
So we're accepting the plans that are from Mr. Brooks then as the conceptual plan that we're submitting to have these estimates drawn on?
I do not want to call them Mr. Brooks plans, because they're not the only plans we're getting conceptual prices for.
But the current plan that we have.
We have
Mrs.
a
Siegel,
lot of
is-
current plans.
I just had Mrs. Fronte tell me no. Now you're telling me yes.
Okay,
We have plans that are being drawn up.
correct, and we've had plans previously drawn up.
Let's not play games with the, I'm asking if we have plans, yes or no.
We have plans that are being drawn up.
Hey, Mr. Puzio, please, I'm having Mrs. Ferrante, the engineer. Thank you.
When those
Did you
plans
give
are
him the
ready,
floor?
They'll be presented.
Yeah.
We'll all be able to make decisions off of them. That's simple.
All right, you can take the roll call.
Councilmember Kelly?
No.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz?
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Vice President Sackett?
Yes.
It's
President Jackson?
Yes, it's 8 yeses and 1 no, motion carries. Next, we have 2O-20-12, bond ordinance appropriating $905,000 and authorizing the issue of $865,000 bonds or notes Township of Rockaway for various improvements or proposed authorized to be undertaken in and by the Township of Rockaway in the County of Morris, New Jersey for the water supply and distribution system of the township. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Jack and Jonathan.
Second.
Thank you. Am I good to do roll call, Joe?
Yes, do roll call, please.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz?
Yeah.
Councilmember Salberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Vice President Sackett?
Yes.
President Jackson?
Yes, it's 9 yeses and carries. Next, we're going to ordinances to adopt. A, we have O-20-09, ordinance amending Chapter 7, Article 2 of the revised ordinance of the Township of Rockaway in order to add new ordinance Section 2. Section 62, establishing a Title 30 enforcement plan for the regulation of parking or standing of traffic onto, on, and off private property occupied by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen, identified on the official tax map of Rockaway Township as Block 10202, Lot 27, more commonly known as 437 US Highway 46. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Give that one to Manny, Jack and Manny.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Any public discussion?
There's no public on the call.
Okay. All right, clerk, you take the roll call?
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz?
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks? Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson.
Yes, that's 9 yeses, motion carries. Approval of the minutes, number 8A, March 10th.
Want to be recognized, Council President?
Sure.
With regard to the March 10th, 2020 regular meeting, I want to make a motion. The motion is to amend the March 10th, 2020 minutes to include Mr. Lardy's comments about the omitted material, or minutes out of the February 27th, 2020 budget meeting, as well as my comments with regard to the February 27th, 2020 budget meeting regarding your omission of the minutes.
Does anybody want to second the motion?
And also to include my motion as well.
Okay. Does anybody want to second the motion? Okay, can we have a motion to approve the minutes, A and B?
So moved.
So you got to do it individually.
Jack and Jonathan.
You would do it individually, no?
Do it.
Clerk?
You don't have to. I'm not doing it individually.
Councilmember Kelly,
I object to how you're doing it.
You
March
give me
10th are not correct. They're purposely omitting information from there.
Mr. Kelly, just so you are aware, minutes are not verbatim. They're not required to be verbatim by any statute. They are supposed to be a record of actions taken, votes that occur. They're not word for word.
Do you believe that all the action that was taken on March 10th,
Just go through the roll
2020
call.
was
Don't
correct
engage
and
them
put in the
anymore.
minutes?
Put them in no.
Are you also aware of all the orders from Judge Mikowitz as well?
Councilmember Quinn,
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander,
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz,
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg,
Abstain.
Councilmember Brooks,
Yes.
Councilmember Noon,
Yes.
Vice President Sackett,
Yes.
President Jackson.
Yes, it's 7 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention. Minutes are approved. Next is the open to the public section. Pat, you don't have any record of anybody dialed in?
No, I gave you the questions
Are lines
that came
unmuted?
through the email.
Yeah, have you answered these, or?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So we have a record that these questions were asked, and we
Yeah.
could get these put in the minutes?
Yes, I don't know if you want to read them or you want.
So, no, there's like 3 or 4 maybe, Pat, or?
Yeah, maybe 5.
But do we have confirmation that the members of the public that are watching this right now are able to participate?
If
I
they call-
announced at the beginning the dial-in number. As far as we know, to our best effort, they were provided the number and they can dial in,
The number's also displayed on the YouTube.
and the number's displayed in the YouTube.
But we're having complications here. I'm just making sure that they
Yeah.
know that they dial.
To the best of our knowledge, they have the ability to dial in.
Yes.
Okay,
If you want to just give those to Chrissy, that's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody there was fine with my
So-
answers.
okay.
So it's closed to the public now?
If there's nobody signed in, right, to speak, and if there's nobody on the line, then yes, we're closed to the public. Next is number 10.
Mr. Jackson, can I just ask you maybe to go to the settlement 11? Because we have people on the phone if we need it.
So what do you want me to do?
Go to 11.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. We're gonna skip the consent agenda for now and go to resolutions.
Do we need to make a vote on that in order to change the agenda?
Do I have to make a motion to?
No, as the council president, you can
Yeah.
rearrange the order of the
So, we're gonna skip to number 11A, R-20-74, authorizing the execution of a settlement agreement with the Fair Share Housing Center. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Any second?
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on
All right,
that?
Jonathan. Yeah, and before discussion, I'll let you have your discussion, Mr. Kelly, in a minute. So the Fair Share Housing Subcommittee had a couple of meetings where we met with the attorney and the engineer and went through kind of the situation the township is in. And the committee is comprised of myself and the subcommittee, myself, Mary Noon, and 2 members of the public. We were presented with options for how to satisfy or try to satisfy the requirements set forth, and we unanimously voted to approve the recommendations made, and as such, we are recommending that the council approve the proposal that was set forth. So go ahead, Mr. Kelly, you have the mic.
No, I was just gonna ask if, Mrs. Seeger was gonna give an introduction as to what it is so the public know what's in reference to. But you just did that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. You can take the roll call, please.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz?
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yeah.
Vice President Sackett?
Yes.
President Jackson?
Yes, it's 9 yeses, motion carries.
Can I just thank Ed Buzak and Dave Novak for being on the line? Thank you for your time and your hard work in reaching this agreement with Fair House Sharing. Oh, my, tongue-tied. And thank you.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you all as well, and please everybody stay healthy and stay healthy.
You look like you were drinking a beer anyway, but go ahead. All right, we're going to go back to number 10, the consent agenda. I'm going to read them. All right, R-20-70. Do I have to read all of them or just the numbers?
Just the numbers.
Okay. R-20-71, R-20-72, R-20-73, R-20-75, and R-20-76. Do I have a motion?
I have a motion, Council President, to remove E and F for discussion. We have one about monies for, to Sefeli for additional work, and we also have the overpayment of certain fees dealing with some money. So if we can remove E and F, which would be 20-75, 20-76 for discussion and then vote on separately.
Is there a second to Mr. Kelly's motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Yep, he wants to remove E and F.
For discussion.
For discussion, yes, and Mr. Sackett approved. Or seconded, I'm sorry.
Can we have
For the original.
a motion and a second for all the other remaining
Yeah.
items, and then we'll go to
Yeah.
those?
So,
Wait, do you have to vote
No.
on this?
we
You
gotta
gotta vote on removing them
Yeah, we
first.
gotta vote on removing
Oh,
them
I'm
first,
sorry.
yeah. Go ahead, take the roll call on that.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
No.
Councilmember Friedlander?
The discussion, will you vote no?
We're voting on removing E and F for discussion.
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz?
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Vice President Sackett?
Yes.
President Jackson?
Yes, that's 8 yeses, 1 no. We can discuss them now, Mr. Kelly.
You don't want to go through it for the regular agenda?
Oh,
I
okay.
would like to.
Yeah, so let's go through, can I have a motion to approve A, B, C, and D?
So moved.
I'll second.
Jack and Jonathan?
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz?
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yeah.
Vice President Sackett?
Yes.
President Jackson?
Yes, so that's 9 yeses, so A, B, C, and D are moved. Go ahead, Mr. Kelly.
On E, we have R 20-75, which is authorizing the change order number 1 to increase in the contract price previously awarded to Cefali and Son General Contracting, which is the Taylor Road improvements in the amount of $1,235. Now, on this resolution, it doesn't give you the exact area or address that's there, but we're talking about a tree. The tree didn't obviously grow overnight. Was this something that they didn't foresee while they were doing this bid? But in the way I look at it is, I mean, they're already getting $230,000, $718.60. And then they're gonna throw in, they're gonna charge you another $1,000 because of their error? What is the error, Mrs. Seeger? You're shaking your head.
No, I'm going to let Mrs. Ferrante answer that.
Okay.
Okay, so these road projects typically involve curb work, drainage work, aprons, mill and pave. We're not typically looking at the status of the trees on the sidelines. We then did a site visit, and it has been a couple of years since the design drawings were into DOT and approved to DOT. We did a site walk with the contractor. We noticed them. We tried to handle them in-house, but due to the branches being intertwined with the overhead wires, it would be best if we looked for a price from the contractor. Looking at the price, it seemed fair and reasonable due to the extent of the trees.
You need to talk.
How about now?
You need to
Okay.
talk.
And then furthermore, when we removed a portion of the curb, we did see some roots that were impacting where the curb would be reset. So it would impair any new work that we put in there.
So the tree's already been taken down?
No.
Okay, and then since the JCP now, and it's the high wires, have we contacted them because they do it for a service for nothing?
No.
We didn't contact them? Okay. On, I don't know if anybody else has anything in there.
Is this the second change? Is this the second change order they hit us on?
No, first change order.
Okay.
Anything else, Joe?
Anybody else have anything on that one? Okay,
Is there contingency in this already, or is it already in the change order phase?
did you hear that?
Yeah, no, it should be pretty straightforward. Just removing these trees, removing the stumps, continuing on with the road work. And to mention that this was a pretty competitive bid. We had, I think, 9 bidders, and we were pretty pleased with the price, and it came well under what we had allotted for and the DOT monies.
And are they having a service come and do it, since they're, paving and
I
concrete
believe they're
work?
doing a portion, they're removing the stumps, and then are gonna have somebody remove the tree. I don't know whether they have the equipment on site just yet.
Okay. I don't know if anybody.
Anything else? Okay, Mr. Kelly.
Under F is R20.
Can we
What?
vote on E first?
I'm sorry?
Can we vote on E first and then we'll move
Oh,
on to?
yeah, sure.
Okay, so we can have a motion to approve E. Anybody?
Moved.
Jack? Can I have a second?
Second.
Mary?
Councilmember Kelly?
No.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Kritz?
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Abstain.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Vice President Sackett?
No.
President Jackson?
Yes. That's 6 yeses, 2 nos, and 1 abstention. E carries. On to F, R20-76. Discussion?
Yeah. Just give me 1 second. I
Yeah,
can
take your
scroll
time.
through. We have, on R20-76, we have an overpayment, which was from numbers that were provided to the Pondview developer. That's correct?
Correct.
And with that amount that's there of an overpayment from incorrect numbers, it's $35,111.
Correct.
How did the miscalculation take place?
It wasn't a
Mrs.
miscalculation.
Ferrante?
I will tell you. It wasn't a miscalculation. It was, we've had change in staff. It was a developer's agreement that's very old. And actually, Ms. Ferrante found it when she was looking for something else, that we, the township, when we did the developer's agreement, agreed not to charge them for COA units, for construction fees. We noticed that we did, and we will not, going forward, charge them, but we were not supposed to, so we would like to pay them back.
Now, without the COA fees being charged, then where does the money come from then for those units that we would normally collect COA fees? Do we compensate for that difference, or?
We have our inspectors on staff. We pay them. They're here.
But we calculated a $35,000 payment, and now we have to give back that money.
Correct?
But we have an obligation to meet COA. So is there any money
That's
that?
not COA money that the builder's paying. That's just for our staff to do the inspections.
Okay.
It's not correct. That's not payment in lieu. They're still providing the affordable housing units, so it's not a COA payment in lieu of providing the low and moderate income units.
Now, with this developers agreement that we had, have we gone back to some other developer agreements of some current projects just to make sure that we're not charging
Yes,
areas that we have?
and this is this was unique to this development. There's a lot of unique conditions with this development that we are constantly reviewing.
And it's very complicated because there's been a lot of changes.
Thank you, Ms. Ferrante.
Any other discussion? Clerk, take the roll for F. Can I have a motion to approve F, R 20-76?
So moved.
Jack? Have a second?
Second.
That was Howard.
Councilmember Kelly?
Yes.
Councilmember Quinn?
Yes.
Councilmember Friedlander?
Yes.
Councilmember Fritz?
Yes.
Councilmember Salberg?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Noon?
Yes.
Vice President Sackett?
Yes.
President Jackson?
Yes, that's 9 yeses, F carries. With that, there's no appointments, so we will go to old business. Anybody have old business?
I got one thing, Council President.
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Kelly.
Just seeing how we're making out with the other owners of the mall with their security. Have we heard anything new?
Still in negotiations.
Are they communicating with us? Mrs. Seeger?
John, do you have that?
I cannot hear Mr. Kelly.
So, Mr. Kelly wants to know, have we had any communication with the outer mall owners around the contract for security?
We have no response to our efforts to get a person over there to speak with, supplement to the existing contract.
And then with that as well, or do we have the substation, is that going to be back in use?
I'm sorry, I can't.
Is
hear
This substation
not-
within the mall?
Yeah, I don't know if this question's for you, but the question is the substation that's already in the mall going to be put back to use?
It's in the agreement. And that's up to the chief. Right, John?
Yes, that's correct.
That's all I have.
Anybody else with old business? Any new business?
I have a couple, but some of them are relating to COVID-19, and I don't know if it was something that we were going to talk or discuss during our reports, or,
You can discuss it.
I mean, are we having something after new business in our reports about the COVID-19? Or, I mean, I don't see Mr. Tabbitt here.
Alls I'm going to say is Mr. Tabbitt provided reports, but all the latest information is our website, and our Facebook. And the police have sent out nixles on it, and all the current information about the cases that are confirmed in Rockaway Township is 7, and anybody can go to our website and see the latest information that we post regularly.
That would be on our document center, correct?
One is in the document center. The report Pete gave us tonight is in the document center, but we set up a special page for all the latest information and links to help the residents.
Okay. I have a couple of things in our new business. I'll try to make them pretty short. I know there's something might touch with Mr. Sackett. Rockaway Day, rescheduling. If there's something as far as a backup plan, what we got going forward from all the delays that we're going to have
Can you
now.
talk more into the mic, Mr. Kelly?
Oh, yeah,
Lean
there.
closer.
I mean, it was on
There you go.
before, but Rockaway Day is a backup day. I mean, I don't know if anybody has reached out to Mrs. Kohler. I know she's going to have a lot of events that might have to be rescheduled and shuffled, and just to see if we can do a proactive approach to have a backup day for something like that.
Mayor Puzo, did you hear that?
Yes, I've reached out to Allison. At this point, it's going to be a domino effect with different truck festivals, food festivals, Rockaway Day. This is going to have to be fluid. I don't know where she's going to be. I mean, in terms of what her backlog's going to be. Obviously, this was unexpected. We never expected anything like this. As it gets a little bit closer, as things loosen up, the federal, state, and local county guidelines loosen up, we'll be able to make an assessment a little bit down the road.
Could there be thought on it, if she is unavailable, can we pivot and use internal resources possibly, if we want to do that?
I don't think we can do that much of a show.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
To make the event as successful as it was last year,
Right.
she is the key component to this.
You need Allison.
As the expertise, that's why we tapped into her resources. She does this with her eyes closed. I don't think at this point we have the manpower, the expertise to make it happen without her or a similar type vendor.
And so we're just going to have to be patient and wait to hear what her schedule pans out to be.
Absolutely. I've had to cancel numerous events. I've had, been in touch with the schools. This changes every day, and we can't get back. We hope we get back to normal sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, the follow-up to that would even be the Memorial Day Parade. Just again, that there's going to be a backup, just being somewhat proactive to some of the events that people look forward to, and really try to bring back a little bit of calmness to everything that's going on with this pandemic, where people are very concerned. And again, there's always bad news that you see on their TV, radio, Facebook, social media, and stuff like that. So some of these things being put in place, that we're going to have something as a backup plan or another calendar day, would maybe inspire a lot of people that good is around the corner.
Agree with that.
Another form of new business is our cleaning that we have here. I did ask Mayor Puzo in an email. He didn't respond to the question. The question was, do we have access or connections to professional cleaning company? And the reason why I say this is that we have, from what I'm aware of, 2 maintenance employees that are not on a staggering shift, that are here every day. And the amount of load, stress, and the amount of work that they do, and I don't know if they've had any kind of training under any of these types of viruses to maintain the disinfecting and cleaning of this municipal building, as well as other locations outside of here, including the police department. Have we looked into to see if there are other services that may be better equipped than 2 individuals or some just staff that we have in DPW?
They are doing a great job, and
They say they weren't
I
doing a great job.
spoke to both of them, and they feel very confident that they know what they're doing. If we had to get an outside company, we do know a few.
What would it take to get an outside company? The 2 individuals saying they don't want to do it anymore?
No?
So what would it take?
It would take if we felt it was necessary, and it's not necessary at this time.
Is there a threshold to where it would be necessary or not? What would it, like, if somebody was to get infected?
I'm not a doctor, and if someone
didn't
was
ask
to
if
get
you were.
if someone got infected, we would have to reevaluate what's going on. We are taking every day at a time, one day at a time. This is something very new to all of us.
And I'm trying to have a proactive approach about it, Mrs. Seeger, and when you say that, you would have to assess it, would a doctor then have to assess it for the cleaning?
We have a health department to do that.
Okay.
We have been cleaning. We have ramped up it's a very simple process as far as the cleaning goes. We're using, accepted wipes that would be viruses. We've ramped it up on the weekends. There's no this other than making sure surfaces are cleaned thoroughly and consistently, and our DPW, our cleaning crews, they're doing what they need to do to keep everything clean and sanitized.
No, I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor, but you're not here for a reason. Because you're afraid of something being contagious or getting
I
affected.
can't hear you too well.
He says you're not here for a reason because you're afraid to get infected.
So if you're not willing to come here, as well as some others, I mean, then is the confidence that you have with this cleaning being done correctly, or? The other problem I have is those individuals.
Question, Mayor Joe.
Those individuals also don't get off. Well, we have odd and odd days, whereas an A and B, some people work from home, but these individuals don't get that type of a break. And I just don't think it's fair, that's all.
Not everybody's on an A-B schedule. A lot of people, like the police department, is working
I know they're
24/7.
essential, and I even have something about that too.
And they're essential. The cleaning crew is essential. All the DPW is essential. We're doing everything we can. We've limited the public access, and we are taking care of business.
And you work from home too sometimes, Mrs. Seeger?
In the science field, there's accepted standards and there's best practices, and we're following those best practices that have been handed down from medical professionals, scientists who work in this field, who do research, who come up with, from the CDC, the World Health Organization. We are following those protocols, so I feel confident that we're possible.
Okay.
Real quick.
Yeah, please.
You said you did contact some cleaning companies. How much extra would it be to get some
thank
extra
you.
cleaning companies?
I didn't say I contacted them. I have contacts for them.
Okay.
I did not, and we haven't seen a reason. Pete hasn't told us, the health director hasn't told us we have to, and everybody, knock on wood, has been very healthy. They're washing their hands, following the
Like I
6
said,
feet
I
distance.
see people working from home because they don't want to come here because of the concern, including you.
That's
But
not,
everything is being done accordingly.
I
Miss-
think it would be nice to get like a cleaning company in here a couple times.
I think
besides you
Mr.
guys.
Kelly's making an assumption people are working
I'm not
home
making an
because they're
assumption. You're not working
afraid.
here because you're
Excuse
afraid of
me.
getting sick.
I'm not
But yet
working.
everybody else can come here.
We are working to keep distance like we're told to, and the governor asks us to cut down on the staff, and we're doing what we were asked to do. And it's not because they're afraid
Can
to be
the
here,
assistant business administrator go home and work from home?
if he wants to.
Okay. Can the clerk?
She is.
Is there anything else?
I do.
Can't hear him.
That's okay. What's next?
No, it's not okay if you can't hear me. I also have concerns with the police department. Is there a way that we can maybe modify shifts for the police department so that when they have their off time, they have a longer off time if we increase shifts? So rather than having their 4 days off of self-quarantine or whatever it is, maybe perhaps they can double that if we were to increase some shifts within the township, giving the police department and the police officers a break. Because they can't work from home, Mrs. Seeger, like you.
That's correct.
Yeah, so is there something maybe we can implement?
They're essential personnel, and they're working, and the mayor and I are looking at other options along with the police chief and the captains.
Can you give me an example of that option?
No, not at this time.
The other thing I have for new business, the mayor did not respond to that. I know you've been very busy, Mr. Puzio. Under HIPAA, and with regard to those that are infected, we know that we have 4 males and 3 females that are currently now that we're aware of. And under the HIPAA guidelines, everybody seems to be very stringent. Maybe Mr. Yetrafano can tap into this as well. But as of March 15th, there has been some relaxation under HIPAA about sanctions and penalties with regard to... I'm sorry?
Go ahead, just finish.
So,
Can you repeat what you?
so in regards to the sanctions and penalties and the relaxation of some areas in HIPAA, the one thing that has not been relaxed and there hasn't been any issue with it is a waiver from the individual who is potentially infected or is infected to give consent to release the information that they have. Now, I simply asked that. I even gave an example of the waiver that they provide to give to the individual, allowing consent, because I think for the better good, rather than anonymity of that person, maybe there are people that would like to know where they've been, who they are, if there's any friends of those individuals that maybe people have been in contact with. Police departments are shopping areas. And I asked if we've implemented that, or even those 7 individuals, have we actually requested consent? I mean, nothing bars us from asking.
The health director is in charge of that, and he's doing the best job as he can, and he's taking his recommendations from his health and from the governor.
Well, if you have an opportunity to ask if the individual would waive their right of disclosure of who they are under HIPAA.
At this time, we didn't feel it was prudent to do that.
So you don't feel it's necessary to let people know who they may be?
And expose ourselves to any litigation. Thank you.
How would it be exposing if they actually signed the waiver, Mr. Mayor?
You know
They're
what,
actually
Mr.
getting
Kelly,
consent.
we'll take that under consideration.
You said that to me in an email 3 days ago. You didn't respond back.
Well,
I'm asking you now.
Mr. Tabbitt did. He gave you a long
No, the mayor did.
response.
The mayor did.
Okay, then you got a response.
You don't even know who responded.
Mr. Tabbitt did too.
But I think there's a lot, I get people question me all the time.
I'm not going to make any more comments. I take direction from the health department on matters of this nature. The health department, once again, is following the guidelines that are put forth, and that's what I'm sticking with. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, from what I understand from Mr. Tabbitt, you were having legal look into that. Did legal look into that to see if we could give consent or request consent?
I'm done making comments on this. I'm going to move on, Mr. Jackson.
Okay,
Well, it's not your
you can
floor
move on
right
to your
now.
next question, because he's not going to answer anymore. Do you have any other,
And none of
new
you here
business?
feel that it's important to get some information about that. I mean, we have children. I happen to have a senior as a parent who's handicapped. I have other people that are also concerned in the area where I'm trying to give them information. It seems like we're not willing to give information.
I
When
feel
there is an
confident-
opportunity, excuse me,
You
to
just
gather
asked the
more
question
information.
You're asking us, and I'm trying to answer
I'm
the
not
question.
finished with the question.
Oh, okay. You're not
I'm
finished
sorry
with
that you
your
take it
speech.
so lightly.
I'm not taking anything lightly.
But, we have an epidemic that's taking place, a pandemic that's there, the common concern and scare. There's an opportunity to say, okay, well, you know what? Maybe this person wasn't in the area that it were. People would even love to know in the northern, southern, western, eastern area of Rockaway Township. Just to give them that kind of an area. It's an idea.
If everyone reviews the protocol in place as to how the health department handles this, they will see when they look at the fine details, the boilerplate things that are in there, that we're doing what's necessary and we're keeping the citizens safe.
I know for a fact many doctors and surgeons that are in hospitals are actually identifying themselves and waiving their HIPAA, just to let everybody know of patients that they've seen, personnel.
Well, that's not
PAs.
comparing apples to apples, and don't put words in my
I'm
mouth.
comparing-
Don't put words in my mouth
I'm
and say
not
taking
comparing
this
apples to
lightly.
apples, whether it's a
Okay.
surgeon or if it's a police officer or a member of the
First
public.
of all, don't put words in my mouth and say I'm taking this lightly, Mr. Kelly, because that's what you do
Well,
all the
I'm
time.
only judging you by your
I'm
smirks.
not taking it lightly.
I'm judging you by your smirks.
I'm doing
And
by
don't
your
smirk.
smirks because you orate. You don't ask a question. To answer your question, I feel confident that our health officer, with his experience and certification and his knowledge, is doing everything that's appropriate to do and providing us with all the appropriate information that he's legally obligated to do. And that's my answer.
Well, the waiver wasn't part of that, which
Okay.
apparently you weren't aware of.
So go ahead. You got any other new business?
I do. Questions with this administration. Now, I have an email from Mr. Jackson that's telling us that no more unnecessary questions. Can you give me a definition of what unnecessary questions are?
What are you talking about?
I have your email right here. You're telling the rest of the council not to ask questions.
Did I tell the rest of the council not to?
You did. You
take
said
it
right
that
here.
way?
No.
Is anybody, council members on the phone, take it that I said don't ask questions?
You said it right here in your
Mr.
email.
Jackson, that was an email that was sent to ask council people,
Yeah.
as I, meeting after meeting, to ask you to request that council people, if they have questions that are data-driven.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't it. You just said here,
Well,
unnecessary questions.
if it got misconstrued, it got misconstrued. You seem to be the only one that doesn't understand.
No, I asked my questions to the mayor. I don't have an issue with it, but you're telling us that's unnecessary
No,
inquiries.
that's not what I'm telling you. You
Can
misunderstood
you make
it
an
then.
example of what an unnecessary
mis-
inquiry would be?
I'm not. I'm not saying that. I'm
Okay.
saying if there's questions you could ask before the meeting to allow
No, I'm not talking about the
administration-
mayor's email. I'm talking about your email here.
But that's what I meant. I'm trying to explain it to you.
Convey it
That's what
better
I meant.
then, rather than
Well,
say
I
necessary
should have written it better.
inquiries.
You're right. I should have written it better.
All right, there you go. That's easy, right?
That's
You feel better
easy,
now?
yeah.
So that was the question I have. Can we ask questions? Because I have the mayor saying, if you have any questions, we have some selected counsel, or for our professionals that have reached out to us if we have any questions, and then I have a council president saying we can't.
That's
you-
not what I said.
But you're
We just
incorrect
talked
on that,
through it,
though.
all right?
So we can. Is that correct? We can ask and make inquiries if we need to?
You can send the administration any email like you've been told for years. Where you
Okay.
can ask any question to
This is
administration.
new about this pandemic that we have going on right now with Corona. So I don't know if there's anything different or anything you have implemented.
It's still the same thing. The mayor said all questions go through administration.
In front of us instead of saying, oh, we don't know that.
Okay. We're
No,
good,
it's
Mike.
okay. I'm just
Mike,
gonna-
we're
I'll
good.
just-
We're good, Mayor.
We're just going to disregard Mr. Jackson's email.
That's right,
Thank you.
Mayor.
No other new business.
Thank you. Council reports. Mr. Quinn.
Yes, I attended the planning board meeting via the phone. It was a courtesy meeting because the Board of Ed wants to expand parking areas for DBO and Stony Brook. At the end of the meeting, there is going to be a letter of agreement and understanding that will go forward, and they need to get some DEP approval before the planning board can give its final okay. Other than that, everyone please stay well.
Thank you. Mr. Friedlander.
Yes, if you could hear me, meetings have been canceled. We had a brief library meeting before this, all the major shutdowns. Hopefully, one area was cleaned out by Serpo. Everything was a go. They're gonna put a water-resistant tile in the area where it's carpet, and hopefully, get done whenever and be open when all the buildings get opened up. Otherwise, just do what you're doing to stay safe, and hopefully we'll see each other real soon.
Okay. Ms. Noon.
No, just everyone stay safe and, be well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Salberg.
Yes, just please keep in mind any elderly neighbors, anyone that's not being watched on a daily basis. If they need anything, if they need any assistance, please just take a look for the folks that while we may voluntarily be keeping ourselves in, a lot of folks are forced to stay in. So just think about the folks around you during these times. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kelly.
I have a couple that will go into my report. I'll make it pretty brief as possible. First of all, I want everybody to remember there are some businesses that are out there in the northern area, by being in the 6th Ward. We have Tony's Pizza, we have Rockaway Bagel, we have Sam's 2 Deli. We also have the Green Pond Grill. Just think about those people. If you can somewhat maybe use their services in business that are there. Many of them are doing out or takeouts and meeting people at the door to their car to give them their food. And they've been doing the best that they possibly can to try to appease the public for what's going on. I also want to make a comment of the Holy Trinity Lutheran Church, Jack DiMatteo, Pastor Jack, I should say, is doing Rise Up with a collection of clothing, food, and especially money, if there's anybody that can donate for a good cause for people going through these trying times, because the financial and fiscal burden that this is putting upon so many businesses and so many people, he's doing a proactive approach to try to collect some of that to help some of those people out that are in dire need on a whole host of levels. We also have Operation Clean. There's a lot of people that are involved with that. There's the Presbyterian Pantry over in Rockaway Borough. We also have Mrs. DePaul, who is helping us from Project Kind, Rob O'Connor from the borough, Mayor Mulligan from the borough. We also have Mrs. Jacobs. We have Brenda Dunn, who's also with Child Services. And they're just trying to collect cleaning supplies. So it's been very difficult to get some of those things in a lot of our big box stores. And we're just trying to help out some of those people that do receive certain meal services and maybe providing them with some disinfectant and cleaners to where they can enjoy their food with clean hands and a clean eating area around them. The other thing that I have was we have a bill, Mrs. Palmieri, that might be coming out tomorrow that be voted on about extensions for tax payments and budget introductions, of course, anything under the municipal land use law, the MLUL. We might want to, see if there's anything that we can put out to the people, because again, it's going to be dire for a lot of people financially with that. I know nothing's coming over the local finance notice that we've had, but again, this bill, if it goes through, it could make things a lot difficult for us for collection of funds and everything else. And maybe Ms. Palmieri, you might have an answer to this. Mr. Burke would probably be the better one. With all of this happening right now, and the mall being shut down, and other businesses that are being somewhat shut down, could this affect for tax appeals for the following year, do you know? Is there maybe a tsunami effect or rippling effect that could happen? Don't answer it, Mrs. Seeger.
I'm
No.
not answering it.
Well, you're shaking your head for her not to.
No, I did not.
Okay.
I actually reached out to Ray Serenelli regarding this. If there are financial burdens due to people not making their tax payments, there are steps we can take. We can consider, we can dip into our snow reserve. It's not just for snow, it's for all emergency type situations, if we need to dip into that. We are keeping track of all the overtime and all the extra expenses that are related to COVID-19 in the hopes that FEMA would reimburse us. This is all, again, new to everyone.
Sure.
So we're just doing it day by day to figure out how we're going to get through this. But those are two simple solutions or potential solutions moving forward.
And just following up from what you said in your comments with monies that we're trying to get reimbursement with FEMA when this all kind of settles a little bit, is there something that maybe you may feel that we need to change in the budget? Since we're not, of course, when we were doing all this, back in February of 19, this just started off as something very small in a different area.
At this time, I would say no. I mean, we always have the option to pass an emergency resolution as we've done in the past. At this point, no, I think that the overtime and the expenses are limited for the town. I don't see a need to change the budget at this time.
Okay, I didn't know if there was something that we needed, like to create a line in the event of, or anything like that at all, while we have the budget introduced and waiting for adoption.
No, not at this time.
Okay. I have no other new business.
Thank you. Mr. Kritz.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Brooks.
Just want everyone to stay safe and take the opportunity to spend time with your family and maybe do an activity with them that you normally wouldn't do on a daily basis.
Can I borrow a couple of kids?
It's got plenty to spare. Thank you. Mr. Sackett?
Just echo off everybody, be safe, be well, check on your neighbors, be cognizant of your ward that you're in. I've put on my Facebook page, anyone in Ward 4 needs anything, reach out to me. I'm available, and anyone in the town, we're here to help. So don't be scared to reach out, and just stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to add on to kind of what Mr. Kelly was saying, it's very important that we are supporting our local vendors. There's a lot in town that I think are struggling and will need our support. So wherever you can, support them. There's a lot of resources out there on Facebook, actually. I think it's Rockaway Neighbors and all that stuff. So just everybody stay safe. I'd also like to commend, I know we start off a little bumpy, but I think overall the meeting's gone smoothly. Thanks to Pat and then Mr. Coward for helping set it up and all that. And then with that, I'll turn it over to any reports. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything you want to report? Mike, did we lose him? I don't see him anymore. I see his name.
He is there.
He didn't hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I just want to say, I really have to make mention of our health department.
Yeah.
Pete Abbott and the nurses, they have been doing a yeoman's job in terms of following everything and keeping us in the loop. I have to take my hat off to all of our employees. I mean, it's an ongoing event, obviously, something we've never faced before. We have been on the phone, the administration, myself, Pat Seeger, Pete, our nurses, our department heads, some of our rank and file employees, 24/7, getting information from the state, from the federal government, from all of our elected officials at the higher level. It's been a tremendous process, the amount of information and the flow of information that has been coming from the county, state, federal level. It's been amazing. And these guys, especially Pete and his department, have been working 24/7. So I really have to, and I was with Pete today. We were talking about, going over some updates. And I just can't say enough how proud I am as mayor at the work that they're doing right now, and how proud I am of all of you, all of our elected officials and our employees, that are working behind the scenes. They are tireless, and they're doing the best job they can. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
You want to make a
Mr.
mention
Yachafano?
how many towns they
Mr.
do?
Council President,
Yes. Anything?
nothing to report.
Okay. Ms. Seeger?
I just want to echo what the mayor said. The staff has been unbelievable, especially with everything changing constantly, and especially the residents for their patience and following our direction about closing it and making appointments to come in. They've been very flexible, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Ms. Palmieri?
Okay, so we are scheduled to adopt the budget on April 28th. At this time, the state has not offered any delay options, but if they do, I would suggest that we try to stick with the schedule so that we can maintain adequate cash flow.
Okay.
That's just my
Okay.
2 cents.
Anything
Thank you.
else to report? No. Ms. Ferrante?
Yes, at this time, I'd like to send a great big thank you to two areas, one being the construction, engineering, and planning and zoning department, all the staff. As you guys listen to the governor, the construction is considered essential. So we are continuing on. We are doing pre-screened. The construction department at Rockaway Township is open. We are doing inspections on a pre-screened basis, and only under essential inspections. So we are trying to keep construction industry going, but meanwhile protecting our staff. Another example of that is our planning and zoning boards, who continue to meet, and I extend my great appreciation for that because we are prior approvals. Just like Mr. Quinn said, the Board of Ed did come in front of the planning board and is now able to tighten up their specs and their drawings to go out to bid to go to construction this summer. So it all has a ripple effect, and I want to thank everybody in my department.
I have a follow-up question on that, Mrs. Ferrante. Is that with the construction department in the administrative code in the UCC, is there any relaxation on permits and the requirement of permits and getting permits?
We check daily, hourly from notifications from DCA on that, and they tell us that they should be announcing something shortly. But as of right now, nothing official. So as long as the governor deems municipal and county staff essential, we will continue to do inspections on essential inspections.
And then just one follow-up with that too. And I'll let Mrs. Seeger go afterwards. Is there a way that maybe we can let the public know of the essential businesses that are open, other than the four that I had named? I mean, of course, we know that some of the ones that are within our radius, Home Depots and Lowe's and Target and Walmart. But is there a list that's easily accessible, maybe to let people know that we can put on our? I had asked this back at the last council meeting on the 10th, if we can maybe provide some information of these businesses and maybe restocking of stuff. But essential businesses that are open that people may not be aware of, is there a way we can maybe do that, or you think it would be a difficult task, Mrs.
Sure,
Seeger?
the opportunity that we could look into. I would assume that the Department of Community Services would be more on top of that, but I would be willing to work with them. And
I actually had a resident ask about that, and I asked her to put a list together and put it up. We put it on the website, but she didn't come back.
How about some senior services too?
I was just going to tell you about that. Our senior services are taking seniors to still shop who need to have transportation, and we are taking people to critical doctor's appointments if they're still happening. And our DPW is still doing their projects. Our parks are still being cleaned up, so everybody is still working. Our fire department is still doing inspections for closing because we're all considered essential, so it is getting done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, our next meeting will be April 14th. Hopefully, we'll start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel by then. Otherwise, motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
So moved.
Jack with the second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.